Ever hit that submit button online only to have the website like spin endlessly?
Oh, yeah.
Or worse, like spit back some cryptic error message that makes no sense.
We've all been there.
It's the worst.
Right.
And those moments, they're exactly why the world needs test engineers.
Right.
So today, we're strapping on our debugging hats and diving deep into the world of these, like, tech detectives.
Love it.
And to help us navigate, we've got some intel from RoleCatcher, a career resource I've been hearing good things about.
Yeah, it's a good one. They're kind of like the unsung heroes,
Right.
making sure our digital lives don't constantly descend into chaos.
Totally.
A test engineer is basically the quality guardian for anything designed and built software, hardware, you name it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they hear test engineer and they immediately think, oh, software. But it's so much more than that.
Way broader. They're the ones asking, okay, this is what it's supposed to do on paper, but will it actually hold up when someone's using it in the real world? Have we anticipated every possible scenario?
Right, because assuming things work is how you get those 3 a.m. panicked calls from
Yeah,
developers, aren't they?
exactly. Nobody wants that.
And I was surprised to learn from RoleCatcher, it's not just software. Like you said, we're talking everything from cars to healthcare relying on these folks. That's a pretty wide scope.
Wider than most people realize, and the applications, they can be really mind-blowing.
Give me an example.
Think about something like an MRI machine.
Okay, high stakes.
Super high stakes. Accuracy is absolutely critical there. A test engineer in that field, they're involved in making sure the images produced by that machine, they're precise, because that directly impacts a patient's diagnosis, their treatment.
Quite.
It's a huge responsibility.
Wow. Talk about pressure. Okay, that puts a whole new spin on careful attention to detail as a job requirement.
Right.
So we're talking life or death stakes in some cases, but in a way, don't test engineers for, say, a gaming company have a tough job too? I mean, gamers notice every little glitch. They're ruthless.
Oh, they are. And you're absolutely right. The end user experience is paramount in any field. It's just that the consequences look different.
Right, right.
For a gaming company, a test engineer might focus on things like load testing. So, can the game handle like thousands of players online at once without crashing? Or they'll be the ones relentlessly trying to break the game's mechanics, finding those exploits, those glitches,
Right.
all to ensure that when the game launches, it's a smooth, enjoyable experience for the end user.
Yeah, finding those exploits before the players do, that's got to be satisfying on some level.
Oh, I bet. There's definitely a certain satisfaction to it.
So we're seeing this interesting mix of technical skills and almost an artistic eye for detail.
It's a blend of logic and creativity, for sure, and we're just scratching the surface here.
Okay, well, let's dig into those skills then. I'm curious, RoleCatcher's guide breaks down some of the day-to-day tasks, and it's not just about coding prowess, is it?
Not at all.
RoleCatcher actually highlights some unexpected skills, like strong writing skills,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. I mean, that threw me for a loop. Why would a test engineer need to be a wordsmith?
Right. That's where things get really interesting. It's not just about finding the bugs, it's about communicating those findings effectively.
So it's not like, hey, I broke it. It's more nuanced than that.
Way more nuanced. Imagine you're the one who finds a bug. You need to document that clearly for the developers. And it's not enough to say, hey, this button's wonky. You need to be specific. You need to detail exactly what you did.
Step by step.
Exactly. What happened, what should have happened.
Right.
It's precise, almost like technical writing.
Oh, interesting. So it's almost like detective work. You're writing the bug report that's going to lead them to the culprit.
That's a great way to put it. Because you're the bridge between the code creators and the frustrated user who just wants the thing to work.
They're like the interpreter.
Exactly. And that clear communication, it's key. But even that, it's just one skill among many. The guide also dives into critical thinking, which is huge in this field.
Okay, so how does that come into play?
Well, because you're not just blindly following test scripts. You have to think critically about the software you're testing, anticipate potential problems, figure out those what-if scenarios.
Okay, give me an example. What kind of what-if scenario?
Like, what if someone tries to order 200 pizzas to the same address, but their payment method is expired?
Okay, right. Edge cases, those weird things that nobody thinks about.
Exactly. Or what if, let's say it's a game. What if someone tries to exploit a loophole in the game's mechanics to like level up faster?
Yeah.
Test engineers need to think like both the user and the potential abuser to try and build those safeguards in.
It's almost like you have to be a little bit of a troublemaker.
A little bit. You got to think outside the box.
Right, because if you're just following the happy path every time, you're going to miss all those interesting bugs.
You're going to miss the good stuff. It's a constant game of cat and mouse.
I bet. Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. And speaking of evolving tech, the guide also mentions the shift towards automation and digitalization, which is huge in the testing world.
Right. Everyone's talking about AI, automation.
Right.
Is this the part where we start worrying about robot overlords replacing our test engineer friends?
Not quite. It's true, automation is changing the game, but it's more about empowering test engineers, not replacing them. Think of it this way. Instead of manually running the same test 1,000 times,
Right.
they're designing the software to do it for them.
Oh, okay. So it frees up their time.
Exactly. It frees up their brain power for those more complex challenges.
So it's like upskilling, not replacing.
Exactly. They're still the ones designing those complex automated tests, analyzing the huge data sets that the software generates, making judgment calls on what needs tweaking, using their expertise.
So it's like they're becoming the conductors of the orchestra, in a way.
I like that. They're orchestrating this whole process.
Yeah. So it sounds like the test engineer of the future needs that solid understanding of code, but also that creative problem-solving mindset to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Absolutely. And that's where we get into all the different types of testing. Because it's not just one size fits all. You have performance testing, making sure things run smoothly under pressure.
Right, like when a million fans try to buy concert tickets at the same time, no pressure.
Exactly. High-stakes performance testing right there. And then you have security testing, which is crucial in today's world. These are the folks building those digital fortresses around our data.
Right.
Making sure the bad guys can't break in.
Keeping us safe.
Keeping us safe. And there's usability testing, making sure things are actually user-friendly.
Right, because something can work perfectly, but still be a nightmare to actually use.
Exactly. It's all connected.
So it's not just about knowing one programming language. It's about understanding that big picture, right? The why behind the code.
Exactly. And as you progress in your career, as you move from, that entry-level position to more senior roles, that broader perspective, it becomes even more important.
Right.
Which brings us to the career path itself.
Okay, yeah. So we've got our aspiring code whisperers. They're just starting their journey as junior test engineers. What does that actually look like? I'm curious. What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? So we've got these aspiring code whisperers starting their journey as junior test engineers. What does that look like in those early days? Are they tackling those million-dollar bugs right out of the gate?
Probably not right away.
Right.
Think of it more like an apprenticeship,
Okay, yeah.
They're usually working under the guidance of more senior team members, learning the ropes, getting familiar with the company's specific testing tools and processes.
Right, because each company probably has its own tech stack, its own quirks.
Exactly. So a junior test engineer might start by running predefined tests, documenting the results.
Right?
Basically getting a feel for how to systematically hunt down those pesky bugs.
Paying their dues, learning the lay of the land, and then as they gain experience, they start taking on more responsibility, right?
Absolutely. The guy uses the example of a mid-level test engineer, maybe taking ownership of specific parts of a project.
Right.
Maybe even leading a small team focus on a particular type of testing performance or security, for example.
Okay, so they're not just finding bugs, they're starting to lead the charge, becoming strategic about quality assurance.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. RoleCatcher highlights the principal test engineer. Now, this isn't just someone who's great at spotting bugs. This is someone who's shaping the entire testing philosophy for a team or even a whole company.
Wow, so they've moved beyond just testing to defining how to test.
Right. They've got the big picture view.
That's a whole other level of expertise.
It is. The example profile they use is fascinating. This person isn't just executing tests. They're the ones designing the testing frameworks, building out the automated systems, mentoring junior team members.
Wow.
They're basically the quality champions. They make sure that testing is ingrained in every single stage of the development process.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
That's leadership for sure.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see how far you can go in this field. If you're passionate about quality, if you have that drive to keep learning and growing.
Absolutely. And a platform like RoleCatcher can be really valuable because it's not just about understanding what a test engineer does. It's about having the resources you need to actually launch your career and navigate that path successfully.
Right, because they've got those tailored interview questions, resume analysis tools. They even have that feature where employers can discover you. Right?
Yeah. It's like having a career coach right in your pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for anyone listening who's ever been frustrated by a glitchy app, a crashing website, or even just a typo on their favorite website,
Oh, the worst.
remember, There's a whole world of test engineers working behind the scenes to make your digital life smoother.
The unsung heroes.
That's right. And if you're someone who loves digging into how things work, if you've got a knack for spotting inconsistencies, or if you get a little thrill out of, breaking things responsibly, of course,
Right, let's be responsible
this
about
might
it.
just be the perfect career path for you.
I love it. A little bit of chaos, but controlled chaos.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Big thanks to RoleCatcher for giving us the inside scoop on the world of test engineers. And for anyone listening, maybe you'll be the one designing the ultimate test for the next big tech innovation.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of test engineers. Until next time, keep those curiosity gears turning.